Hello, hello, hello. It's Lily Enrique here, the parenting strategist from Parent Support Network, coming in today with episode 25 of Parent Support Network TV. So today the topic has come up about the way we feel as parents when we're really escalated. Let me know in the chat who has ever felt this way. You just want to scream, yell, nag, pull your hair out, cry, hide, run away, all of those sorts of things, threaten to punish because the kids are just driving you crazy. They're out of control, or they're just, being silly or fighting and squabbling. They're not listening, they're not cooperating. And you just want them to listen. You just want some peace and quiet. You just want them to cooperate and be thoughtful and respectful, if that makes sense. So I know if you are a parent, you have experienced that at one stage or another. For some of us, maybe more often than others, right? And I know that when my youngest son was younger, we definitely experienced that lots. So yesterday I had an amazing day. I actually was invited to set up for an expo at the Madraba State Special School, obviously in Madraba. And there were a whole bunch of exhibitors there, people who support families and kids who have special needs particularly. There were a lot of support workers and providers from NDIS, or who provide support to families who have NDIS support, which was awesome. So I got to learn a lot more about that. And I know that, as, let me just say, an everyday parent with just everyday kids, it's stressful, it's challenging, right? It's, there are days where you really just want to go and in the bedroom, pop the TV on, lock the door and just, watch Netflix for an hour, or, just escape in the backyard, or jump in the car and take off, because things are just so stressful. You might have one really intense and challenging child. You might have more than one. I've spoken to some families recently who have 2 and 3 very intense, kids on the spectrum that they're dealing with, extra challenges. So, parenting, I guess what I call an everyday kid that doesn't have those extra challenges is demanding enough. It is challenging enough. But when you have on top of that, extra challenges and extra demands and things that you need to provide, and support your children with, it can become very, very stressful. And we tend to, even though often I think we believe that the yelling, the nagging, the threatening, the punishing doesn't work, I speak to parents just about every day about the things they're doing, and they know they don't work right, but often they just don't know what else to do. They don't know what else to do when the kids are just driving them to distraction, and they tend to default back to those, those methods of yelling, of nagging, of threatening, of, taking away privileges, or threatening, you wait till dad gets home or mum gets home, or just trying to bribe them, or, nag them or control them. None of that works. And it particularly doesn't work with the more intense and challenging kids. They have a greater thirst, a greater need for positive connection and attention, even than, the regular kids. And sometimes the things we do with the other kids can work, but for the more intense and challenging kids that many of us are dealing with, the same methods or methodologies of parenting just do not work. The same ways of connecting and relationshiping just don't work. So we've got to dig deeper, right? We've got to find other ways of connecting and dealing with, the kids when they're being challenging. And one thing that I've established in my 25 plus years of parenting work, and particularly since I've become a Nurtured Heart approach facilitator and trainer, and now an advanced trainer since 2000, learned about the Nurtured Heart approach in 2013, became a trainer in 2014, and an advanced trainer in 2021. And we have identified that all of these things don't work, right? And, we've learned, and we know from experience, that trying to lecture the kids and highlight to the kids the things that are going wrong in the moments that they're going wrong. It just doesn't work that way, right? It just doesn't work. Kids are not receptive. They're not open. You're escalated, they're escalated. Nothing ain't going to work in those situations, right? So first of all, my first bit of advice is, if you are feeling really escalated, you are feeling really like you want to do those things, hide, run away, etc., is to just reset yourself. In the Nurtured Heart approach, it's our stand 3 we call reset. So it's just taking yourself back, taking some deep breaths, centering yourself again, and really asking yourself, you know, what is it you want? What are you wanting out of this interaction? What are you wanting to communicate to your child? And the nagging and the yelling and the threatening, just, you know, I've said over and over, it just doesn't work. So we need to focus on something positive that is going to, you know, help both the child and yourself. I've also been sharing a little acronym called BOP, which BOP. So the B is for breathe, the O is for open your heart, and the P is for pause. So it's much like the reset, where you really just mindfully, consciously take the time to just breathe. You know, you might need to turn away from the kids. So in the reset, you know, we suggest just disconnecting yourself from that negativity that's going on, unplugging yourself. So just like if you had, you know, this incredible toaster that did all this amazing stuff, it doesn't work when it's unplugged. So we want to unplug ourselves from the negative situation, as long as nobody's in danger or nobody's getting hurt. If that's the case, we do need to step in as unenergetically as possible. But if nobody's getting hurt, and nobody, you know, is in danger, just to disconnect yourself just for a few seconds, breathe, you know, really open up your heart and say to yourself, okay, I'm feeling escalated, I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling sad, upset, disappointed, whatever that is. Just open your heart up and go, okay, what is it I really want? How do I want to feel? How do I want my children to feel? What's going to be a better situation for both them and myself? And then once you've opened your heart, just pause and take the time to really drink all of that in. And then you're going to be able to go back to that situation in a much more positive way. So we've learned that, you know, when you want to teach a rule, or when you want to expand on a quality that you're wanting to grow in your children, the time to do it is not when the rule is being broken. So for example, if you're wanting to encourage kindness and your child is being unkind, for example, to their sibling, that's not the time to try and teach kindness. If they're being disrespectful to you or to another adult or to anybody, the time to teach respectfulness is not when they're being disrespectful. It's when they're being respectful or moving away from the disrespect and closer to being respectful. So we teach the qualities we want and the rules that we want followed in the times when they are being followed. And it might not make a lot of sense because I'm actually jumping straight to, in the Nurtured Heart approach, what we call stand 3, but you really need to learn how to implement stand 1, which is absolutely no, not giving energy to the negativity, not giving energy to the things that you don't want to grow. Stand 2 is absolutely yes, it's giving that beautiful heart-centered, connected, juicy recognition to what is going well, or even the baby steps towards what's going well for kids. And then the stand 3 is the reset, where I've just been talking about, where we actually recenter ourselves and come back in a more positive place. And we can teach both the children the reset, and we can model it by using it ourselves. So you can actually explain to your children, if you are implementing the Nurtured Heart approach, that from now on, there aren't going to be any taking away privileges, time out, punishment. We're going to have a very simple consequence called the reset. And we're going to ask our children, in a time when they are being escalated, when they are mucking up or doing the wrong thing, we're going to teach them to reset. And the analogy is very much like that in a video game. So if you think of a video game, and think about why kids love video games so much, is because they're really predictable. They know that when they play the game, if they get kicked out for some reason, they break a rule or they muck up or whatever is in that game, that they can, once they've got kicked out or mucked up or broken that rule, nobody yells at them, nobody threatens them, nobody, you know, gives them a punishment. They just get kicked out, I guess, for the moment. But the great thing is they get disconnected from the game just for a few seconds, but then they can reset, they can get back in the game again. So that's really what we want to teach kids when they are breaking the rules, when they are not doing the things that you want them to do, that we have this very simple consequence called a reset. And all you need to do is take the time yourself to display and model the reset to the children. So you might say, for example, if the kids were really escalated, I just need to reset. And just turn yourself away, take those few deep breaths, open your heart up, just pause, and then come back again to see where the kids are at. By teaching the kids to reset, it teaches them self-regulation as well. So if we just say to a child, I need you to reset, or, you know, give them a quick demand, or, you know, depending on what's going on, I need you to stop jumping on the couch, reset. And then allow them the time to reset, you know, allow them the time to stop jumping on the couch, or slow down, or, you know, improve the situation. And then as soon as they do, then that gives us the opportunity to come in and then recognize them for the better decisions they're making now. So if they're not jumping on the couch, I love how, even though, you know, just a minute ago you were jumping on the couch and I asked you not to jump on the couch, but then when I asked you to reset, you actually stopped, you stopped jumping, or you slowed down, or you considered what I said, you know, and, you know, that really shows that you've got great self-control, because I know you wanted to keep jumping on the couch, but you didn't, right? You stopped or you slowed down. And that really shows me that you're thoughtful, that you're considerate, that you have great self-control. So if we, you know, come in with those sorts of recognitions for kids, sometimes we even have to hijack them a little bit. But then they get to realize that they get more of us, that they get that connection and energy and relationship when they're moving towards or doing the right thing, instead of us coming to life when they're breaking the rules, when they're out of control, when they're being crazy and fighting and squabbling and not listening. Does that make sense? So it's a whole different paradigm. It's a whole different way of thinking of consequences. And punishment, I guess, if you want to use that word, because it's not really a punishment, but it is a consequence that, you know, that they get unplugged for that period of time. And sometimes, you know, it might not happen in the first few seconds, it might take a few minutes, or it might even take longer, you know, but at some stage the child is going to stop and reset, or they are going to consider that. So that then gives you the opportunity to come in and encourage and praise and acknowledge them for that. So this is something I'm super passionate about. I spoke to so many people yesterday at the expo at the Madhuraba Special School, and, you know, so many people who provide services to families with kids that are having challenges or that are special needs. And, you know, so many people said to me, oh, wow, I haven't heard of anything like this before. What you're doing is very unique. And yes, it is. It definitely is very unique. For those of you who don't know me and don't know what I do, the reason I'm so passionate about this is that our youngest son, who, by the way, is just about to turn 29, was diagnosed as a young boy, you know, between 3 and 4, with ADHD, ODD, and childhood depression. And back then, there was none of this support. As I said to many people yesterday, like, the families today have so much more support, which I'm so pleased about, and, you know, is so fantastic, because back in our days, when my husband and I were literally pulling our hair out, and we were struggling big time, right? We were really struggling with our connection with our family, with our relationships, with our son, who really was very, very intense and very, very challenging. But we didn't have any outside support. We had to kind of figure it out for ourselves. So I'm very pleased that families today do have support, and the NDIS is an amazing organisation that gives so much support. So it's the National Disability Insurance Scheme, for those of you who weren't sure what the acronym meant. Who gives so much support to families. So it's absolutely fantastic. So if you or someone you know need some help or assistance with their parenting and their relationships, and you don't, or they don't have to have, you know, amazingly intense and challenging children. I have had many parents who come to me just to, you know, improve their relationships with their kids. They might be okay, or they might be doing well enough, but they just want them to be better. They just want to notch up their parenting. But I must say that I particularly do attract families who do have children, more challenging children, more intense children, perhaps children on the spectrum, or children who have been labelled with something like ADHD, ASD, Asperger's, you know, all the various labels that are out there now. And I do love working with these families because I think they get the best results, because the families with the more intense and challenging children have a bigger why to really improve their situation. So we are about to launch just in 2 weeks. So on Thursday, gosh, what date is it? The 19th? Yes, Thursday, the 19th of June. I'm about to launch a 24-week or a 6-month course. So this is really going to support those families who really need that hand-holding help and assistance and support. I normally do a 9 to 12-week course. This is going to be the first 24-week course I've done. It's come out of parents actually saying that they need and want that longer amount of support. So I'm about to start that, as I said, on the 19th of June. So if you or anybody you know may be interested in hearing more about that or finding out more about that, please just connect. Send me a message, an email, Lillian at parentsupportnetwork.com.au. You can send me a message on Facebook, or you can see my phone numbers up there as well. You can text me. You can actually go to my website there at parentsupportnetwork.com.au, and there is actually a button on the home page that allows you to book a complimentary 30-minute consultation. So that's a great way for us to have a conversation. On my website, there also is our recent masterclass. So if you go on the About Us tab and scroll down, you'll actually see our recent masterclass there that you can listen into. That's a 90-minute masterclass. You can also download my book, one of my 6 books, my favorite book, number 3 book, The Revolting Child, A Blessing in Disguise, which is all about our family's journey. So please do connect. If you are struggling in any way and you'd like to learn more about how I help families to really enjoy happy and healthy children and relationships, I would love to be able to assist and support you. If you are in the NDIS community, if you do have the ability to get assistance through NDIS, I'm also able to help you out. I've got about 5 families already registered through NDIS to do my upcoming course. So that support is definitely there for you. So please do reach out. I'd love to have a conversation with you. And if you're listening to this, please share it with somebody who you feel it could help or benefit. And I know that I believe that, you know, what I teach with the Nurtured Heart approach can benefit every single family, every family regardless. So thank you for listening in today. I hope you got some value from what I shared. I'd love to hear some comments in the comments below if you're happy to do so. And until next time, Lillian Reiki, parenting strategist from Parent Support Network. Bye for now.